Ever feel like your brain has a direct line to the worst-case scenario department? One tiny worry pops up, and suddenly you're picturing a full-blown catastrophe. You're not being dramatic, you're being human. Our brains are hardwired to be realistic, and to them, realistic means preparing for disaster. It's like having a super advanced disaster simulation running 24/7 in your head, always asking, what if? This isn't a flaw, it's a feature, a survival mechanism that's been passed down through generations. But when this feature goes into overdrive, it can feel like you're living in a constant state of emergency. So, why does our brain do this? And more importantly, how can we tell it to take a break? Stick around, because we're about to dive deep into the science of catastrophizing and learn how to reclaim our peace of mind. To understand why our brains love a good catastrophe, we need to travel back in time. Picture our ancestor, let's call him Grok. Grok is chilling by his cave. He hears a rustle in the bushes. Does he think, oh, probably just the wind? Nope. Grok's brain immediately jumps to saber-toothed tiger. 9 times out of 10, it was just the wind. But that one time it actually was a tiger, Grok's instant panic saved his life. The ancestors who were more relaxed and optimistic? Well, they didn't get to pass on their genes. We are the descendants of the worriers, the ones with a built-in negativity bias. Our brains are designed to pay way more attention to potential threats than to positive things. It's an ancient operating system that helped us survive, but in the modern world, this system can misfire, turning everyday anxieties into 5-alarm emergencies. Your deadline at work isn't a saber-toothed tiger, but your brain sure can treat it like one. This ancient wiring leads to what psychologists call cognitive distortions, which are basically faulty thinking patterns that feel incredibly real. 2 of the biggest culprits in catastrophizing are fortune-telling and mind-reading. Let's start with fortune-telling. This is when you act like you have a crystal ball that only shows you bad futures. You're about to give a presentation, and your brain doesn't just say, I'm nervous. It says, I'm definitely going to mess this up, everyone will think I'm incompetent, and I'll probably get fired. You've predicted a disastrous future and are already living in the emotional fallout of it, even though it hasn't happened. Sound familiar? You're not alone. Then there's its sneaky cousin, mind reading. This is when you believe you know what other people are thinking, and spoiler alert, it's never anything good about you. Your friend replies to your long text with a simple K. Your mind-reading brain doesn't consider that they might be busy or driving. Instead, it concludes, they're mad at me. I must have said something wrong. They probably don't even want to be friends anymore. You've invented an entire narrative of social rejection based on a single letter. These distortions, fortune-telling and mind-reading, team up to create a feedback loop of anxiety. You predict a bad outcome, then you read people's minds to confirm your fears, which reinforces your belief that the catastrophe is inevitable. It's exhausting, and it's a trap. But the good news is, you can learn to spot these traps and disarm them. So, how do we break free from this cycle? We can't just tell our brains to stop worrying. That's like trying to not think about a pink elephant. Instead, we need a practical strategy. I want to introduce you to a powerful cognitive behavioral therapy technique called the 3-step thought audit. It's simple, effective, and something you can start using today. The 3 steps are capture, challenge, and reframe. Think of yourself as a detective investigating your own thoughts. Your mission is to find the distorted thoughts, question their validity, and replace them with more balanced and realistic ones. This process isn't about ignoring risks or pretending everything is perfect. It's about taking back control from that automatic, panicked part of your brain and engaging your more rational, logical mind. Let's break down each step. Step 1 is to capture the thought. This is the awareness phase. You have to catch the catastrophic thought in the act. When you feel that familiar spike of anxiety or dread, pause and ask yourself, what am I telling myself right now? Don't judge the thought, just observe it. It might help to write it down. Let's say you're late sending an email to your boss. The anxiety hits. You pause and capture the thought, my boss is going to think I'm unreliable and lazy. This is going to ruin my reputation, and I'll be first on the chopping block for layoffs. Get it all out. Seeing the thought written down separates it from you. It's not a fact, it's just a sentence that appeared in your head. This simple act of capturing it makes it less powerful and gives you a tangible target to work with for the next step. Step 2 is to challenge the thought. Now it's time to put that thought on trial. Become a friendly but firm cross-examiner. Ask it some tough questions. Where is the evidence for this thought? What's the evidence against it? Using our example, is there any actual evidence my boss thinks I'm lazy? Has she ever said that? In fact, she praised my report last week. What's a more likely explanation? She is busy with her own work and might not even notice the email is a little late. Another great question is, what's the worst that could happen, and could I survive it? Okay, the absolute worst is you get fired. Is that likely over one late email? No. But even if it happened, would you survive? Yes. You'd find another job. By challenging the thought, you poke holes in its logic. You expose it for what it is, an exaggeration, a product of that old grok brain overreacting. You're not trying to argue with yourself. You're using logic to bring perspective back into the picture. The final step is to reframe the thought. This is where you create a new, more balanced and constructive thought to replace the catastrophic one. This isn't about toxic positivity or lying to yourself. It's about finding a more realistic middle ground. So, you've captured and challenged the thought about the late email. Now, let's reframe it. A good reframe might be, I'm feeling anxious because I value being seen as reliable. While I wish I had sent the email on time, it's unlikely to cause a major problem. I'll send it now with a brief apology for the delay. Most people are understanding about small slip-ups. See the difference? The new thought acknowledges your feeling, validates your values, proposes a practical solution, and rests on a more realistic assumption about the world. It shifts your focus from a paralyzing, imagined disaster to a manageable, real-life action. It's a thought that serves you instead of scaring you. Putting it all together, the three-step thought audit, capture, challenge, reframe, is a skill. The first time you do it, it might feel a bit clunky or unnatural. Your old thought patterns are like well-worn paths in your brain. They're easy to follow. Creating new paths takes conscious effort and repetition. But every single time you catch a catastrophic thought, question its validity, and replace it with a more balanced one, you are actively retraining your brain. You're weakening the old neural pathways of worry and strengthening new ones of resilience and calm. You're teaching that ancient, overprotective part of your brain that the modern world doesn't have a saber-toothed tiger hiding behind every corner. It learns that most of the time, the rustle in the bushes is just the wind. This isn't about eliminating anxiety forever. A life without any anxiety isn't realistic or even desirable. That little ping of worry is what motivates us to study for a test or prepare for a big meeting. The goal is to turn down the volume on the catastrophizing, to transform the brain's constant disaster simulation into a helpful risk assessment tool. It's about learning to distinguish between a genuine threat and a cognitive distortion. By consistently practicing the thought audit, you can find a profound sense of peace. You start to trust your ability to handle whatever life throws at you, without needing to live in constant fear of what might happen next. You become the calm detective of your own mind, not a victim of its worst-case fantasies. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the mind. I hope these tools help you find a little more peace and a lot less catastrophe in your daily life. If you found this helpful, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more content on mental well-being. Remember to be kind to yourself. Changing thought patterns is a process. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.